Coming up on this Olympic special edition of FYI, the young British athletes who have their eyes on gold, presenter and commentator Clare Balding gives her medal predictions, and what is Jiraiya doing?
Welcome to Paris, home of the 2024 Olympic Games and the Paralympics later in August. Over the next fortnight, the eyes of the world will be on this city, as over 10,000 of the finest athletes on the planet compete for gold medal glory.
When it comes to stats, the Olympic Games are pretty impressive. Athletes from 206 countries will take part. Paris will host about 15 million visitors, including me, and roughly 3 billion people are expected to watch on TV. That's almost 40% of the world's population.
But Paris is no stranger to the Olympics. In fact, this is the third time the city has hosted the Games, the last being exactly 100 years ago in 1924. The main stadium for that Games is even being used as a hockey venue for this one.
The organisers of Paris 2024 are claiming this will be one of the greenest Olympics ever. They have renovated lots of existing venues to reuse them, rather than building loads of new ones. They aim to halve the carbon footprint of the Games compared with London 2012, and they've even used cardboard beds in the athletes' accommodation.
But one environmental story became huge in the build-up to the Games, and it was about something that runs right through the heart of Paris, the River Seine.
For more than 100 years, swimming in the river has been banned in Paris because of the health risks caused by pollution. But organisers of the Games wanted to use the Seine as the venue for two major events, the triathlon and marathon swimming. So a huge clean-up operation took place, costing around £1.2 billion.
As recently as last month, samples of the river water were still showing dangerous levels of E. coli bacteria. But luckily, scientists have judged that the river is now safe to swim in.
And to prove it's safe, both the Mayor of Paris and the Sports Minister have even taken a dip in the river.
Now, huge global events like the Olympics are often surrounded by fake news stories. But what do you make of this one?
According to reports we've seen, an Australian hockey player who broke a finger in training decided to have it amputated to ensure he could still compete at the Olympics. But is that fake news or fact? Find out later in the show.
Many of you may remember skateboarder Sky Brown's incredible performance at the last Olympics in Tokyo, where she won bronze, becoming Team GB's youngest ever medalist at just 13. Well, this year she's joined by a whole host of young, talented British athletes who are hoping to get a medal as well. I went to meet some of them.
Taking aim as we dive into this year's Games are Megan, Eva and Abby. All these young hopefuls are still at school, but are here to compete for their country and hopefully bag some medals.
First stop is Team GB's training pool in Reims, where Eva Okoro has already made history just by being here. She's the first black female athlete to ever represent Team GB in the pool.
Obviously, making it to the Olympics is massive, so how did you feel when you found out you got in?
It was a bit of a shock, to be honest, to make it at 17. It was kind of a really proud moment, and yeah, I was really happy.
And how does it feel to be the first black woman to represent Team GB in a pool?
I think it's an honour, and I do think that it will be really good for me to kind of inspire and encourage the younger swimmers. They can do whatever they want to do, even if they don't see other people like them.
Next up is Megan Havers from Leicestershire, who first got into archery on holiday when she was just 7 years old. But now she's about to compete with the very best in the world.
What do you hope to achieve here?
The goal is always medals, but I think for my first Olympics, I just want to be happy with how I've shot and how I've performed and just know that I've done my best.
10 from Megan.
So, what's one thing about archery that you think most people wouldn't know?
I think how hard it actually is. When you watch it, it does look easy. You just pull a bow back and release it and it hits somewhere on the target. But it's actually really technical. You have to match the weight of the bow to you, the length of the arrows to your height. It takes a lot of mental capacity as you're doing it over and over again.
Sounds pretty intense. What's your favourite thing about archery?
I think just how satisfying it is. When you're on a world-class stage and the cameras are on you and you just feel the pressure and you just draw up, you shoot a 10 and you're like, that was amazing.
Last week on FYI, Scarlett caught up with Abby Martin, the amazing 16-year-old gymnast who won a silver medal at the European Championships last year and now has her sights set even higher.
So, Abby, since you've seen Scarlett last week, what's happened?
We have travelled out to France. We are currently in Reims at the Holding Prep Camp. It's really great out here. It's definitely a lot warmer than the UK. I think I've been using quite a bit more chalk and we've definitely been using lots of fans.
There's a lot of training. Is that quite stressful or is it more fun?
I think it can be a bit of both. You got to try and make training as fun as you can because you never know if you could have this experience again. But there's some things that can be quite stressful. It's like have a mistake or something, but you just need to make sure that that doesn't stress you out because you don't want the stress to get rid of the enjoyment.
I've just noticed your nails, they're really nice. When did you get them done?
I got them done just before we came out to Reims and hopefully they'll stay great before the Olympics.
These athletes are so inspirational. They've really shown that there is no limit to what young people can do. I can't wait to follow their progress over the next few weeks. Team GB's male gymnasts have several medal hopes this year,
Especially current Olympic champion Max Whitlock. He's won gold on the apparatus at the last 2 games and is hoping to make it a hat-trick here in what will be his last Olympics.
representing Britain alongside him is an exciting 20-year-old gymnast, Harry Hepworth. Harry's at his first Olympics, and I went and spoke to him about his hopes for Paris.
So, Harry, congrats for making it to Team GB. What's it been like being here in Paris for the Olympics?
It's crazy, to be fair. I've been here once before. It's definitely different in the build-up to an Olympics, but I'm just grateful to be here. I've put in the hard work.
So, you've obviously got some of the biggest people in your sports in your team. What's it like training with them?
I'm honoured to be training with them. I've looked up to these guys for absolute years, and I've always wondered how they do their thing. So seeing them do their own thing, it just gives me inspiration.
And speaking of giants in gymnastics, what are your thoughts on Max Whitlock's retirement?
It's obviously sad. He's made the most of it. He's done tremendous things for the sport, and he'll be good with whatever he does after this in his next chapter.
What's your biggest motivator?
Probably the amount of sacrifices my family's put in to getting me here, because they've spent hundreds of pounds on gym fees every month. They've taken me to and from gym. I think I'd have to do it for them, really. I can't really just waste it all away.
And if you could send a message to your 8-year-old self just starting gymnastics, what would you say?
I'd just say trust the process, believe in yourself as well, because gymnastics, it's so easy to sort of lose your head and start focusing on what other people are doing. You just got to believe in yourself and keep moving forward all the time.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, and good luck.
There are 329 events at the Summer Olympics across 32 different sports. Now that's a lot. To get the inside track on which sports to watch and what athletes to look out for, Jariah and Scarlett caught up with the Olympic presenter and commentator, Clare Balding.
Clare Balding is an expert in sport, and over the years she's reported from 7 Olympic Games for both radio and television, even carrying the Olympic torch for London 2012.
You've done the commentary for many Olympic Games, so what do you think makes it so special?
I love the fact that once every 4 years, for quite a lot of athletes, this is the only chance they get to compete in front of a massive audience. So I really love that it brings together so many different athletes from different parts of the world, and that you suddenly start to care about and understand the rules for something like skateboarding or breakdancing.
And I can just imagine the energy being amazing just to be there.
Yeah, and you know one to really watch out for is climbing. The speed climbing is so exciting to watch. And I don't know whether you know this, random fact coming up. Paralympics actually means parallel to the Olympics. And London, that was the first time that ever happened. You know, since then, definitely the profile of Paralympians has massively increased.
So, like you were saying earlier, breakdancing is going to be a new sport in this year's Olympic Games, which I'm really, really, really excited for. But do you think it will be as successful as surfing and skateboarding, which was introduced to the last Olympic Games?
Absolutely. The Olympics is a celebration of everything we as human beings are capable of doing with our bodies. And that's why I think breakdancing and speed climbing and surfing, they are sports. They require a huge amount of athleticism and fitness and bravery, but also concentration.
So how do you think Team GB are going to do this year?
I think they're going to do really well, and I think the swim team is going to set the pace. I'm going to be based at swimming, so I'm very excited for it. But I love the fact that Tom Dean, who won 2 gold medals in Tokyo, has set himself the challenge of becoming the most successful British Olympian ever. So he's aiming to win 5 medals. Duncan Scott won 4 in Tokyo, and that was like a major achievement. Tom is trying to go one better. There's so much variety in the sorts of medals we win as well, and we're really good at the mixed events. So mixed triathlon, which we won gold in Tokyo, but also we won the gold medal in the mixed relay in the pool, which was really cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Claire. I mean, it's been absolutely amazing speaking to you.
You're more than welcome. Brilliant questions, can I say. I think you're future sports reporters, both of you.
Now, there have been loads of sports introduced at the Olympics over the years, but some have been stranger than others.
At the first Paris Olympics in 1900, I'm not pulling your leg, but tug of war was one of the events, until they gave it the heave-ho after 1920.
In 1984, pseudo synchronized swimming was introduced. Yes, synchronized swimming with just one person. It lasted for 3 games before it was sunk. And finally, plunge for distance. This weird sport at the 1904 Olympics basically involved athletes diving into a pool and seeing who could glide the farthest underwater in 1 minute. Unsurprisingly, this one nosedived after just 1 Games.
But one sport that was only introduced at the last Olympics in Tokyo is climbing, and it's been a massive success. Jiraiya went to meet Toby Roberts, one of Team GB's brightest climbing hopes, before he headed to Paris.
Climbing was one of the newest Olympic sports, and no wonder. I mean, look at it. According to the British Association of Climbing Walls, around 1 million of us take to the walls each year, and that number keeps on going up and up. There are several different types of climbing, with bouldering, speed climbing, and lead climbing being the ones included in this year's Olympics. But what does it take to compete at the very top of the sport? Well, this guy might know a thing or two. At just 19 years old, Toby Roberts is one of the youngest Olympians. He's already won numerous gold medals at climbing tournaments around the world.
That is a gold medal for Toby Roberts.
But can he bring home an Olympic gold medal for Great Britain? Let's talk about the moment where you got told that you're going to this year's Olympics.
It's like the most incredible moment of my life. I just absolutely love competing, but obviously medals are lovely and I'll be trying my hardest to get as many wins as possible.
Is there anything particular that really makes you fall in love with it?
I think it's the uniqueness of it. Whenever you go to the climbing gym, you're never doing something which you've done before. The setters who put the climbs on the wall are always challenging themselves to put new stuff up, so it always feels like you've got something else to do.
What advice would you give to any young people who want to get into climbing?
Go to your local gym. It's so great to see the sport growing so quickly. Yeah, just go and give it a go.
These young climbers got the chance to get top tips from Toby himself. They are hoping to follow in his footsteps and maybe compete at the Olympics one day.
Yeah, he's definitely a big inspiration.
What characteristics do you think it takes to be a really good climber?
Every time you go on the wall, just trying to learn what you did well and trying to reflect on what made you fall.
So I think you've got to be quite resilient when things don't go well. You've just got to keep going.
What do you really love about it?
It's a good combination of physical and mental. You've got to kind of figure out what you're doing on the wall as well as being strong.
It's a very inclusive environment. All people can try it, no matter what level you're at.
I've had such an amazing time here. The climbers are amazing, the tips they've taught me are fantastic, and I can't wait to see climbing as an Olympic sport this year.
Thanks, Jiraiya. Now, what did you make of this week's fake news or facts?
Well, the story that an Australian hockey player had his finger amputated so he could take part in the Olympic Games is true. Matt Dawson broke his finger during training, and it would have taken too long to heal if he'd have strapped it up. So he talked to doctors and decided to have part of the finger amputated. He's now back in the squad and hoping to go one better than the silver medal that his team won at the last Olympics.
Well, that's all we have time for today. But we'd just like to wish Team GB and all other competitors here in Paris the very best of luck over the next 2 weeks. Bye!